Hi everyone, Ms. Fisher here. I wanted to go over Act 3, Scene 1 in front of the Capitol building in Rome, the questions. Mrs. Hayes told me that you guys finished reading Act 3, Scene 1 yesterday, but weren't able to finish all of the questions, so I just wanted to go over those with you. So make sure you have those on your desk and you are taking notes while I am going through these questions, okay? Number 1, who thwarts Artemidorus' attempt to warn Caesar of the plot against him? And the answer, as I wrote up here, is Decius. What he ends up doing is he sees Artemidorus coming with this letter. Artemidorus is saying, Caesar, please read this letter, it's very important. And he gets the inclination, that Artemidorus is trying to warn Caesar about what's going to happen, so he kind of steps right in front of Artemidorus, cuts him off, and says, actually, Caesar, I have something more important to talk to you about than this Artemidorus letter. He should wait till later. So Decius kind of steps in to make sure that Artemidorus cannot get his letter to Caesar. The second question is, what happens to make Cassius believe that the news of their conspiracy has been discovered? And if you look on page 95 of your text, what happens is Populus Lena comes up to Cassius and he kind of whispers, I wish your enterprise today may thrive. It's right there at the very top of page 95. So Cassius takes this to mean that the word is out. All right, so Populus Lena wishes him well. Cassius takes this to mean that the word is out. Because Cassius says, what enterprise, Populus? And Populus doesn't even answer. He just kind of walks away. He says, see you later. And so they're afraid that they had been discovered, but actually Populus Lena is on their side. So he doesn't actually end up warning Caesar. Okay, number 3. Does Cassius give himself half-heartedly to his conspiracy, or does he commit himself fully? And if you look at lines 21 through 24 there on page 95, Cassius says, Casca be sudden, for we fear prevention. Brutus, what shall be done? If this be known, Cassius or Caesar never shall turn back, for I will slay myself. So he's saying that if Caesar finds out, he doesn't care. He's going to not try to hide it. He's just going to kill himself if the plot fails. So it says, or we can write, Cassius fully commits himself to the conspiracy. And it says to cite evidence from this text to support your claim. So here we would write in lines 21 through 24, Cassius says he will kill himself if the plot fails. Okay? All right, number 4. What does Metellus Cimber do as a ploy to engage Caesar's attention? So if you look on page 95, bottom of 95, and top of page 97, Metellus kneels before Caesar, and he says, Most high, most mighty, and most puissant Caesar. Metellus Cimber throws before thy seat a humble heart. So he's saying, he gets down on his knees, and he kind of like revels in Caesar's presence, and he says, Caesar, please, I'm asking you for help. And at the top of page 97, Caesar kind of cuts him off. He already knows what Metellus Cimber is going to ask him, and what Metellus is asking for is, he's begging for his brother's freedom to be released from jail. So he's doing this to kind of engage Caesar in a conversation and see, well, number 1, how he was going to react, and number 2, kind of get him don't let him know what's about to happen. So he begs for his brother's freedom, for him to be released from jail. Okay? Okay, number 5. Is Caesar conceited or truly humble? And cite evidence from your claim. So if you look there on page 97 and the top of page 99, the answer is clearly that Caesar is conceited. He says things like, if you look at line 52, he says, Caesar doth not wrong, nor without cause will he be satisfied. So Caesar is conceited. In line 52, Caesar says that he is never wrong. That's what he's saying when he says, Caesar doth not wrong, nor without cause will he be satisfied. So he thinks that he can never make a mistake. Then later, Caesar says at the bottom of page 97, I could be well moved if I were as you. He's saying that if I were not me, if I was just kind of mediocre like you guys and not as great as I am, I might be able to change my mind. But, he says, I am as constant as the northern star, of whose true fixed and resting quality there is no fellow in the firmament. So what Caesar is saying here is, I'm as constant as the northern star, and I'm sure you guys know that the northern star is the star that never moves in the sky. So he's saying, I am never changing. I am so dependable that I will never change my mind on anything. And he says that I was constant Cimber should be banished and constant do remain to keep him so. That's on page 99. So he's saying, absolutely not. I will not change my mind. So also, we should write, also in line 66, Caesar, make sure I spell that right, compares himself to the North Star, saying that he's more constant than all other men. Okay. Number 6, how do the murderers explain the death of Caesar? They say a few things, actually, that are kind of, one that's pretty normal, and then the other one that was a little bit surprising to me. But if you look on page 99, Caesar dies there at line 85. And then Cinna screams, liberty, freedom, tyranny is dead, run, hence proclaim, cried about the streets. So they explain the death of Caesar as a reason to celebrate because Rome is free of tyranny. Okay, so first we should say, they say it's a reason to celebrate because Rome is free of tyranny. Okay, so that's one reason. And then they also go on, I don't know if you guys caught this, but I wanted to make sure that I at least mentioned it to you. Then on page 101, they give another, they kind of justify killing Caesar in another way. They say, why he, it's line, let's see, 111, 110, 11, 12, 13, it looks like line 113. Why he that cuts off 20 years of life cuts off so many years of fearing death. And then Brutus says, grant that, and then is death a benefit? So are we Caesar's friends that have abridged his time of fearing death? So they also say that they have helped Caesar out because if he were still alive, he'd still have to live every day afraid of dying. And look, we've kept him from that. We've saved him from fearing dying by killing him, right? That doesn't really make a lot of sense, but that is another reason that they give for justifying killing him. So the conspirators also justify it by saying that they saved Caesar 20 years of fearing death by killing him now. Killing him now while he was a younger man. So we've saved him from that. That's what they say. All right, number 7. What does Mark Antony do when he first confronts the conspirators? Before he even comes in to see the conspirators, he sends a servant. If you look at page 103, towards the bottom, or towards the middle, essentially, enter a servant, and Brutus says, "Soft, who comes here, a friend of Antony's?" And the servant comes in, and he flatters them and gets them to promise that Antony is going to be safe if he comes to talk to them. They promise Antony's personal security. So the servant says that my master bid me kneel, and he told me to lay down on the ground and say that Brutus is noble, wise, valiant, and honest, and that he loves Brutus and honors him, and that he just wants to come and talk to Brutus, but he has to promise that he won't hurt him. So, he sends a servant to flatter them and get them to promise Antony's personal security. Okay. All right. Number 9. How do we know that Mark Antony's show of friendship for the conspirators is just an act? All right. And the answer is that there's a subtext that we should have noticed when he's shaking each man's hand. He says each name, and it's as though he's marking them one by one for death, like as if he wants to kill each and every one of them. He's just making sure that he has a mental list. I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to avenge Caesar's death. And he's kind of just pretending. So he comes in and on page 105, and Antony says, "O mighty Caesar, dost thou lie so low? Are all thy conquests, glories, triumphs, spoils shrunk to this little measure?" So he's talking directly to Caesar's body, and we can just hear the sadness in his voice. He's saying, after all that you've done, after all of your conquests, this is what your life has come to. And he gets so emotional about Caesar's death that he even has to kind of apologize to Brutus and say, Oh, I promise that it's just I'm only mourning my friend. I am not mourning Caesar as he definitely was a tyrant, and I completely agree with you. And then he says at the bottom of page 107, "I doubt not of your wisdom. Let each man render me his bloody hand. First Marcus Brutus will I shake with you. Next Caius Cassius do I take your hand. Now Decius Brutus yours. Now yours Metellus, yours Cinna, and my valiant Casca yours. Though last not least in love, yours good Trebonius. Gentlemen all, alas, what shall I say? My credit now stands on such slippery ground that one of two bad ways you must conceit me, either a coward or a flatterer. That I did love thee, Caesar, oh, 'tis true. If then thy spirit look upon us now, shall it not grieve thee dearer than thy death to see thy Antony making his peace, shaking the bloody fingers of thy foes?" So he's going on and he's saying that it probably bothers Caesar that I'm shaking your bloody hands, but please know that I am here in friendship and not as an enemy. But we know that that's a subtext. It's a kind of he doesn't actually mean what he's saying. So there's a subtext that we should notice when he's shaking each man's hand. He says each name, and it's as though he's marking them one by one for death. Okay, the last question. What huge mistake do you predict Brutus makes in this act, and explain your answer? It should be clear that allowing Antony to address the crowd is not going to go well for Brutus and the conspirators. Cassius says to Brutus, he says, "I really don't think that we should let Antony speak at Caesar's funeral. I don't think we should let him get up there in front of everyone." But Brutus says, "Hush, Cassius. He should be allowed a funeral just like everyone else. Plus, we want to make sure that we have the people on our side. So I'll get up and I'll talk first. I'll talk before Antony does to ensure that the people will only hear good things. We'll make Antony promise that he's not going to say anything bad about us, and therefore it's okay that he goes up to talk." But it's pretty clear that allowing Antony to address the crowd will not go well for Brutus and the conspirators. Okay. All right, so Now that we finish this, you guys are going to start